The idea of After Man was to do a popular level book on evolution. Now, whereas most popular level books on evolution look towards the past, the interesting things that happened in the past, the dinosaurs, development of the horse, coal forests, and all that, they always give the impression, unconsciously I'm sure, that evolution, something happened in the past, got to the present day and has now stopped. Well, that's wrong. No, I wanted to show that evolution is an ongoing thing. It would continue for as long as life persists on the earth. So I thought, right, for After Man, we'll project it into the future. And what I was looking at the time was an article in, I think it was Scientific American magazine, that was looking at plate tectonics and postulated what the continents would look like in 50 million years' time. So, right, there's my starting point. I have a map of what has been projected the continents will be like in 50 million years' time. That will be my starting point for After Man. I will now populate this continent according to the processes of evolution that have been happening over the previous 50 million years. My first interest in strange animals came with an introduction to dinosaurs, as it is the case with most people. And this was back in the early 1950s, before dinosaurs were anything anybody was interested in. I saw my first dinosaur in a comic book when I was about 6 years old, 5, 6 years old, where there was this very strange animal that was chasing this bunch of explorers who had disturbed it in a canyon in Canada or somewhere. So this looked very strange, and I took the comic to my father and said, "Father, explain these things to me," or words to that effect. And he took down an old natural history book off the shelf, blew the dust off it, opened it up, and here were these pictures of bones, of fossils, of animals that existed years and years ago and no longer are alive. And that was it. I was hooked. What I try to do when I do my fantasy stuff is to produce fictitious examples of factual processes. Now, After Man is full of funny animals, but each funny animal is telling some little story about evolution, about ecology, and so on. The vortex was actually one of the first of the After Man animals that I came up with. Having seen the Save the Whale badge on the lapel of my friend, I thought, well, if the whale becomes extinct, what would evolve to take its place? And I thought, right, there's the penguin, isn't there? The penguin, it's halfway there. It's streamlined as an underwater hunter. It moves by flying underwater with its wings turned into paddles. The only thing that stops it from being at sea all the time is the necessity to come ashore and lay eggs. But what if a group of penguins could bear their young alive, could solve that trick? Then they would not have to come ashore to lay eggs. They could stay at sea all the time. There'd be very little limit on the size in which they grow, and they would take up the vacant niche of the whales that had since became extinct. One of the animals on Batavia is the night stalker, which is a kind of large bat, maybe about human sized, and it walks along on its front legs. Now, its front, because that is where all its locomotor muscles were when it was a flying animal. That's where all its strength were, that's where all the muscles were. And the hind legs have now come forward over its back, and they are as grasping organs, and they are that's what it uses to hunt with. And the original bat had lost its powers of sight, so it never reclaimed that. You don't often get features re-evolving once they're lost in any group of animals. So it has developed its power of hearing and its echolocation to hunt its prey. What we have here is the reed stilt. Now, the reed stilt has evolved to take the ecological niche of the heron or the stork. A fish-eating bird, a long-legged fish-eating bird that stands in shallow water and dips after fish. Now, here is a mammal that does exactly the same thing. So it's got the adaptations of a heron. It doesn't fly, but for feeding, it has the long legs to enable it to stand in shallow water. It has the long neck and the long jaws for snapping at fish as they go by. It also has a defense mechanism. Don't suppose you can see it in the illustration there. Defense mechanism on the feet that keeps nibbling fish away, like herons do. I came up with the idea of the swimming monkey when I thought, well, what if the primates that survive in the tropical rainforests, what if some of them become aquatic? What would the adaptations be? And the adaptations would be swimming limbs, the webbed feet, eyes that could see above the surface and below the surface, and maybe a ridge down the back that would help to streamline it as it is as it's swimming through the water.